we have an incredible guest here that I've been so excited to speak with because I have a little bit of background on him. His story is amazing. He's a great father figure. He's a great community leader. Man, he's an ex-athlete that killed it and has some great stories that are there. And man, the definition of the Legacy Lounge is the stuff that he's putting together. I'm super excited to have Tyronne Gross with us today and sharing his story with everybody that we're speaking with today.
Man, honored to be here. Let's go.
Incredible. Incredible. So, we always kind of like to go back first, your story is amazing, man. Like I was blessed to be able to have some time with you when we were out in Montana trip. All three of us were here together. And shout out to Refuge.
Like the shirt, yep.
A shout out to Refuge. What an amazing time. What an amazing transformative experience it was for me personally. And one of the biggest reasons was because of our time we got to chat. And I got a lot of your background, your story and everything like that. But man, I want to go backwards first and give a Cliff Notes version of where you're from, where you grow up, where it led to. Give us a little rundown.
Yeah, feel free to cut me off anytime.
I want to give it all.
No, man. Born and raised in Stockton, California.
Yes.
So, 209 all day. Right up the road from here. I'm one of 9 kids. Mm-hmm. So big family. Biologically, I'm the oldest of 4. And so at the age of 6, my grandparents took me in. So I was actually raised by my grandparents. And man, I can go on all day about them. My grandmother, she's no longer with us, but played a pivotal role in my life in terms of always speaking life into me, and like, hey, you're a leader, and that's how you need to carry yourself. People are always watching. There's all these different things, but then my papa, man, my grandfather, that's my hero.
Man,
he's still here. He just turned 83 this year, and man. Funny story with my grandfather, man. I think it was when he turned 79 or 80. He sent me a picture, shirt off like this, flexing with a 6-pack.
Let's go.
I was like, oh my goodness, what am I doing with my life? I was like, there's no more 6-packs up in here. I need to get it together. But no, man, love my grandfather. He was a military guy, so, real stern, a lot of rules, but it was necessary. But yeah, so being raised with my grandparents, they had me involved in everything. They wanted to make sure that I stayed busy. If anybody's familiar with Stockton, I had a lot of great memories there, but there's a lot of places that you might not want to be at. I saw a lot of things growing up, more than, some kids, you would want a kid to see. I definitely wouldn't want my kids seeing some of the things that I experienced growing up. But my grandparents, they kept me busy. In church. I was in church like all day. I'm like, dang, it's a Tuesday. What we doing at church? Like, but it was like, going to church all day and not just going, like I had to serve in church. She's like singing the choir. I'm like, I don't want to sing. And my mom was like, can you sing? I can do a little bit. I don't have no. But she wanted me to sing. She's like, yeah, go tell Deacon Frazier that you want to go lead a song. I said, but I don't want to lead a song. But that was my grandmother. She was like, yeah, the youth department need a president, so go run for president. I'm like, so this is how she was, man. And
how old were you at that time?
This is probably, when that part started going between the ages of 9 and 11, started really getting me involved in serving in the ministry. But it was sports. So started running track and playing football. And as I started to excel just a little bit, I realized that, man, if I'm pretty good, I don't have to be at church all day. I'm not a game to get to. I was like, I need to work a little bit harder. I could get out of it. But I'll tease, man, it was good times with that. And, knowing that I had to be there, it actually, I started inviting my friends. Like, hey, hey, come hang out with me at church and stuff. So it was pretty cool. But, but playing sports, it just opened up so many different things for me, allowing me to meet so many great people. And, through having that foundation of Christ in my life, but then also starting to excel in sports, it just exposed me to so many different things. And not only exposed me, it allowed, there was people in the community who, poured into me and wanted to mentor and make sure that I went down the right path. So super thankful for that. And my grandmother, one other thing, just kind of like funny thing with my grandmother, she used to do mock interviews with me.
parent.
Man, she said, you know, you need to be ready for this one day. And I'm thinking like, I just want to go play my game. Like, and she was like, oh, you know, learn how to write your autograph.
Jeez.
As all as a little kid, man. Yeah.
And this is exactly why I love stuff like this. You got me something. I'm going back home and talking to my kids doing the same thing, man. That's a great idea.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Renee's grandma just turned
102.
102. Congratulations. That's beautiful.
Still down in Oakland, from Louisiana, but she made 102. So
What part of Louisiana?
she, New Orleans.
Okay.
My dad and grandma are from there. I still got family down that way, but I don't make it down there where way I should, and I got to change that. That's for sure. So
I'm just curious. So when you ended up moving in with your grandparents, you said you moved in with some other siblings as well.
No, it was just me.
Just you.
Just me.
1 to 9.
Yeah,
It's just
So was there a specific? Were you getting into trouble, or what was the main reason?
You know what?
That happened?
Not getting in trouble. I was only 6, but I had young parents, man. My father was 17, turning 18 when I was born. My mom was 20, so
man.
just, you know, they were kids.
Yeah,
I
sure.
couldn't even imagine. Like, I have 2 boys now, but you know,
Actually, I was ready. You know, I was earlier than that. I was way ready.
so I think it was more so a lot to help them out. And so when at 6, it was 3 of us already. You know, so my sister who's 4 years younger than me, then my younger brother who's, you know, 6 years, so it was already 3 of us. So I think more of it was like, hey, you know, we can help out, you know, allow Tyrone come over. And that's as much as I've got, to just to be completely transparent. If we want to be there, like, that's something I struggled with for a long time. Like, you know, I wouldn't change anything for the world, because I know without a doubt, like, I would not be sitting here today had I not been with my grandparents and went down this path. But I still struggle with it. Like, there was moments where it's just like, man, like, I love my grandmother, I love my grandfather, but like, I want to be with my dad, I want to be with my mom.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be with my siblings.
Man.
So like that I wrestled with that for years.
Yeah.
And, you know, and never getting like the real, what was the real reason, you know?
Yeah.
Did y'all not want me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think that was the case, but
Yeah.
as a kid, like, processing that. And so, yeah, so I don't know what the real reason, but I have peace with it now.
Right.
But I struggled with it for years, man.
Man, I mean, when did you get peace with it? Was it recent? Was it when you got older?
Man, I got peace right before I gave my first message. So I preached my first sermon in 2018, I believe it was. 2018, yeah. I've done a lot of speaking, but it's different from speaking in a corporate place or with kids than giving a sermon. But it was right before I walked onto the stage. I was just praying, and in that moment, as I stepped out there, like, I felt like I was okay with, like, hey, it's good. Just go out. Yeah.
Amazing.
So do you still talk to your mom and dad?
Yeah, man. That's a whole story in itself, and I think we'll figure out how to get there. But yeah, man. My father, you know, we have a great relationship, and it wasn't that way. Like, even though I wasn't, you know, raised by my father, he was always around. But there's a difference. There's a difference from being in the house with your father than, you know, seeing him, you know, at a game or whatever. Like, it's completely different. And so, you know, for years, there was some tension and some things pent up that I didn't know. And, you know, it wasn't until suffering an injury in the NFL that actually was the blessing to reconnect and reconcile the relationship with me and my father.
Wow.
And my mom, she's in LA. You know, love my mom. You know, we talk. I mean, if it's up to her, we'll talk every day, because she definitely calls me that every day. But yeah, so I have a great relationship with my parents, my stepmom. Everything is good, but it definitely took time to get there.
No doubt.
Who would you say it would be the biggest male role model in your life?
Oh, my grandfather. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Number one, like. But I've been blessed with so many. I know that's may not be the case for a lot of people, but I've been blessed with so many people, man. But my grandfather, my father, like, you know, even though we had this weird relationship, yeah, dude, I'm a lot like my dad. Yeah, but it's crazy. I'm like, dude, like, we're a lot alike, and I wasn't even around you like that. That DNA is crazy.
Yeah.
But, I love my pops, man. My pops actually, we have a community center. He manages the community center for us.
Okay.
So that's what, like I said, it's crazy just how it all kind of worked out. Mr. Lee, he's another father figure, mentored, discipled me for years, businessman. So, like, man, it's been a lot of great people in my life. But if I had to say, if I had to put an order, my grandpa, that's my hero, man.
Nice.
He's a dope dude, man.
So super strict growing up with your grandfather and everything like that. What that leads you to? What high school did you go to, and how did that time frame go?
Yeah, and I could tell this is my grandfather too, man. So I grew up in South Stockton, and I ended up going to Lincoln High School, which is on the north side of town. Now, if I'm not mistaken, somebody could fact check it, but I think at the time I might have been the first inter-district transfer into Lincoln District to play ball and stuff. And, I remember asking my grandparents, like, man, was this strategic? Like, why did you want me to go to this school over here? And they were just like, we just want, they had a good program and it was a good school. So we were just trying to do our best to get you, to have the best opportunity. And so it was night and day from where I grew up at, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, growing up in South Stockton, especially at this time, years ago, because we're not young no more. Going to the north side of town, I remember going into a classroom being the only black kid in the classroom, like night and day, like what is this? And but yeah, so I went to that school. But how I got to school, it was crazy. So my grandfather, he was the head groundskeeper at a golf course, and so I would wake up with him about 3:00 in the morning and ride to work with him, finish sleeping at the golf course, get washed up, then I would walk to school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, and your golf game is definitely great because of this, right?
You know what? So it's terrible. And I give my grandfather a hard time about this all the time. I'm not, because I used to go golfing all the time with him. And I enjoyed it, but then I got to the point, when most boys feel like, oh, I'm grown, I want to do my own thing. It was one of those, like, I was like, hey, Pops, man, like, I'm not trying to go to the golf course. I just, And so he was like, oh, okay. He's like, and he just shook his head. I'm just like, okay. I didn't think nothing of it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I played in this charity golf tournament when I was with the Chargers, and these guys are paying big money to golf with, different players and stuff. And it was a great time until I was the butt of all the jokes, because I was so terrible. And they were having a ball just making fun of me. They had a crew, but, I thought I was a little too grown to be getting laughed at because I didn't know what I was doing. And so I called my grandfather. I was like, hey, Pops, man, I'm sorry. I was like, I should have listened to you. But then I said, why did you try to teach me a lesson with this? Like, you didn't let me quit anything, but you just let me walk away from this game. And what I realized now is it was something that he enjoyed. So he wasn't trying to just, if I didn't want to be there, he wasn't going to have me there. But I'm like, man, you could have taught me a different lesson, man. So so my golf game, no, it's terrible. But I love going out there, though. I don't make enough time to go out there. That's why it's terrible. But it's so peaceful.
It is.
But yeah, it's terrible, and it's my fault.
It's one of our favorite times, that's for sure. And we play a lot of terrible golf together. It's all good.
Renee can't relate to what you just said, but I can.
What you mean?
I mean, it's a good day if I shoot under 100. You're a decent golfer.
I mean, you act like I've never been terrible. It took some time, man.
It's solid, right? And as an athlete, that's the part that you struggle with, is because you can't just go out there and just. You have to take the time and put time into it.
That's right, man.
So high school days, playing sports, was football the only sport that you played?
No, man. I actually, I ran track, and my two sports was track and football.
Okay.
I stuck with that. And track was what really exposed me to outside of Stockton, because sports is a lot different now than it was when we were growing up. So football, you didn't travel. You just played within the city or some small cities around there. But track, going to these track meets in the Bay Area, having a chance to make it to the Junior Olympics and, go to Louisiana, go to Nebraska, all these different places to go run. It was like, oh, like, this is crazy, and then staying on college campuses for these trips. And so that really exposed me, like, oh, there's more out here. Like, I want to, I mean, I want to do something with myself. So,
What's your race? What was your race?
man, my race was the 100, the 200, and 4x1 relay. I ran the first leg. Right.
Yeah, built speed, man. Yeah. Built the speed. Let's go. I love it, man.
Yeah.
Makes complete sense being the running back. So I love that, man. And what were you recruited for? Football and track? Was it just football?
It was just football because, I knew I was a football player. Man.
Got it.
I did track just because, it was fun to hang out with my boys, and I knew it was going to help me with my speed, but I was pretty decent, you know. I was the slowest on our Junior Olympics relay team, but could nobody see me out the blocks on the first curve. But these guys are running fast. Like, my best time in 100 was a 10.6, and I was the slowest on the team.
Yeah.
And, and all that's not slow. But
fine. That's not, no.
But, these guys are running 10.4, some crazy stuff. But yeah, no, football was my thing. My senior year in high school, I helped lead our team to the first ever section championship in the city of Stockton, our school history. And at that time, there wasn't state in football. But I think if it was, we probably would have did that too, because we was making it happen. But yeah, football, that's here's another one a lot of people don't know. Yes, I was recruited by pretty much everywhere in the country to play ball, but I wasn't prepared to go to college. Wasn't prepared at all. I didn't even know you had to take an SAT. I didn't know what an SAT was.
Wow.
Was
nobody at that school helping you with that? I mean, it sounds like you went to a school that was, right?
You would think, man, I had a young coach. I love my coach. We still talk today.
Yeah.
But no, I wasn't prepared. I did just enough to get by. I wasn't a dummy, but I didn't like sitting in the classroom. So I was like, oh, what do I need? A C or a B? Cool, I could get an A here and there. Like, whatever it was going to take to get on the field,
Yeah.
And so didn't really truly apply myself the way I could. If I would apply myself, I think I'd,
of course,
did way better. But I was like, okay, 2.5, a 3.0 here and there would do that. But SATs, man, I've never been a test taker. And so not being prepared for it, I didn't get it. They grade us on a scale. They didn't get in a high enough score. And so I lost all my scholarships.
Wow.
And so that was a big blow. And so it went to like, hey, where do you want to go to school to? It came down to Fresno State or Sac State as a prop. And I don't even think they do props anymore. It's Prop 48. So I was a prop where, you can come in and you have to pass your first year, all your classes, and then you get your scholarship, et cetera. And so Fresno State, Sac State, well, what's the better program in terms of athletics? Fresno State.
For sure.
D1 ball.
Close.
And Sac State, even though Sacramento is right up the road, I really never spent any time in Sacramento at all. And I used to live in Fresno at some point as a kid, and I hated Fresno. So literally, I made my decision based off of who I want to go to Fresno.
Wow.
And so I will never forget, as soon as I announced, like, I'm going to go to Sac State, the Fresno State coaches called me and said, son, you're making a bad decision. You do not want to go there. We still want to take you. I was like, nah, man, I'm cool.
That's crazy. That is a crazy story. Now, Fresno is way different now than it was back then. There wasn't nothing down there. So I get it, but man, they were D1. Do you really read it?
They probably got some good athletes too.
Oh, great athletes. Like, that's where I should have went, But even then, just go back to, my coach, I'll never forget this. So after that, at this time, Pac-10, which about to be Pac-Nothing. They all came back and said, hey, tell them to retake the test. Just go to a JC.
Yep.
We'll offer them in the spring. Every Belt 10 school.
Man.
But I said no.
Wow.
I didn't want to take the test. And at the time, I already had moved out of the house. So I was like, wherever's going to take me right now, I'm gone. And so, yeah. So I'm just like, man, here I am, a young kid making this decision.
Yeah.
But had this coach went to my grandparents and told them that,
they would have.
There's no way.
Man.
You would have been in Fresno State.
Or not Fresno State, but I would have went to the junior college. Fresno, I was already sold on not going to Fresno.
Yeah.
But I would have went to JUCO. But in my mind, just not understanding the whole process, not even understanding the landscape.
Yeah.
When I thought of a JUCO, I thought of Delta College. I was trying to get out of Stockton.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not going to go to Delta. I wasn't even thinking like, oh, you go to Frisco City, all these different. And so it was just like, oh, Sac State, y'all going to take me right now? I'm out.
Wow. That is.
So that's how I made my first big choice in life. It was just like,
man,
But yeah.
So walk us through what that looks like. So now you're in Sacramento.
Yep.
Well, what was that first year like in Sacramento? You know, did you meet some good people, and how did you get adjusted on the team?
Man, I met a lot of great people, some lifelong friends that I consider family. You guys know Otis Amy.
Yep.
You know, we're teammates. Charles Amy, his older brother, you know, teammates. Ramon Payne, you know, roommates, teammates. So, like, we're still together. And I met, they all kind of, they're older than me, so they all embraced me when I came in. I could do a funny story. It's not too crazy on the air, but, you know.
What the crazy one?
Yeah, you know, I mean, you guys got a big audience, man. You know, I got wife and kids. I gotta, you know, I wasn't always married, and it always have kids, but man, you know, the rule freshman stays in the dorm. Oh, right. And so, I got to school, and I was like, these dorms are co-ed. This is crazy. What is this? And so I remember talking to the coach. I was like, Coach, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not gonna make it. I can't stay. I'm not gonna make it. And so I ended up moving in with Ramon and Cam Davis. And so they're like, hey, they let me out of it. I was like, I knew me. Right? I was like, I'm not gonna make it.
I'm glad they listened to you too, because you with them.
I wouldn't be here right now.
Man, that discipline doesn't sound normal. I think if I was 18, you were 18, 19?
Yeah, 18.
And when I was in a co-ed dorm, I don't think that I would have had the same discipline to do what you did. Where do you think that comes from? I mean, do you think that just came from just
self-aware? Yeah,
man, I'm a realist. Probably my grandparents, yeah, you know, most kids when you leave the house, it's like you got the freedom, but like I'm not a dummy.
Yeah,
it just wasn't gonna be good for me.
So obviously it paid off because you didn't have to deal with those temptations.
Yeah. So I ended up moving in with Ramon Payne and Cam Davis, man, and so that was cool. But you know, I had a great time at Sac State. Probably too much fun. I also was a party promoter. I used to promote all kinds of parties and stuff. Yeah, that was a good time.
It was a good time, man. You're getting in there right when I was finishing up, man. It was some good times out there. I understand the pitfalls. I mean, my best friend was with me in the dorms, and he didn't make it past 1 year. He moved back to Oakland. Was never played again. He was a freshman of the year in the conference for the Big Sky Conference.
Who was that?
Nate, my buddy Nate Marase. Loved the guy to death, man. We had such a good time that year. Didn't like coach that much. Kind of rebelled and stopped going to class, covered it. And I'm like, hey, man, that's not how you get back at coach. And, man, like we have been playing together since we were seventh grade. And he was a freshman of the year in the conference. I was number 2 to him, runner-up to him in the voting for freshman of the year. We both played well. Team didn't do well, both played well. He left. I had the worst year of basketball in my entire life. We had been playing together forever, man. Like it just wasn't the same without my guy, man.
Yeah.
That's really what it was. Crazy.
We were just talking about the documentary. I know you probably seen the Untold. I'm not if the Untold documentary's on Netflix, and the one that just came out was with Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
and it's so relatable to what you guys are talking about right now, especially when you're that age, when you're that young. The absolute importance of who's around you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? What type of accountability you have, who your friends are. Because if you're with the wrong crowd at a young age, it can literally change the trajectory of where you're going.
100%. Yeah.
It sure can. I got to assume, I mean, a basketball team is, 12 to 14 people. I got to assume it's even a bigger minefield with a football team full of guys, man. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy, but it's like you still find your guys. And like I said, I for whatever reason, like I always connect with a lot of the defensive guys. Like when I think about it, I spent more time with some defensive players than the offensive players. It's weird. I don't know why. Even on like some of my best friend Octavio Cruces. We played high school ball together. He was a linebacker. Yeah, it's my dude. Yeah, Ramon. We lived together. He was a DB. When I was at the Chargers, my roommate was a defensive player. So I had this. Maybe I'll be secret. I like hitting people. Like maybe that's what it was. But no, man, I was blessed with having. I found some good guys that are family now that I spent most of my time with. But, you know, I mean, I like to kick with everyone. I'm
Yeah.
super social in that sense of like to be friendly and promoting parties, you have to do that. So I have fun in that aspect, but then also this was also a pivotal time in terms of being on my own and, you know, the spirituality of like, you know, what's next. And so, you know, I said that the foundation of my relationship with Christ started with my grandparents, but, you know, me understanding what a relationship with Christ happened in college. So we found a church and really started learning about what a relationship looks like. And, you know, I literally would promote parties, and at the end of the party, I would invite people to go to church.
Really?
That's amazing.
Wow.
Crazy.
Man.
Like last call, and then, hey, who wants to go to church? Right. Yeah, man. Yeah, I didn't think that would ever happen that way, but I did.
Yeah. Amazing.
And some people took me up on it, and I was like, hey, I'll pick you up. And so, yeah,
Started making disciples at a young age.
man.
So for the people listening to this, let's talk real quick about what position you played. So let's dive into that.
Play running back. So play running back pretty much my whole life. Play running back, play some defense stuff, but like I mean, I prayed for this height. You know, I know sitting now I might look like I'm as tall as these guys, but you know, 5'8", 5'9", depending on who's measuring me. But I grew up loving Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, so I literally pray like I want to be just like them. I want to be 5'8", 5'9", and so it worked out that way. But play running back, man. Just love the position. Definitely was gifted at it. It came easy for me, and didn't mind working. Like I didn't let nobody outwork me, but I still didn't understand the process of like really working hard and applying myself. I learned that after really like my last year of college, because playing it had some success at Sac State. We as an individual, as a team, we weren't that good. They're a great program right now.
Sure.
But, you know, we have some great players, and like if you look at on paper, you're like, how is this team not doing well? But, you know, from Otis Amy, you know, Ramon Kane, Cam Baywall, Cavaca, Otis went to the NFL, Cavaca made it to the NFL. We had a few guys, you know, that played in the NFL.
For sure.
But we're winning 2 games, 3 games.
Crazy.
But yeah, I had some success at Sac State. I remember going into my sophomore year. This is super random. I don't even know where this came from, but I was ready like one of the best new running backs in the country in college football. So I was like, man, really excited about doing my thing. And I struggled with some injuries too, like nothing major in college, but just minor injuries. And I think one of our potential best seasons, it just hurt us. I got hurt.
Dang.
Otis got hurt. Ryan let it, like our quarterback, like, so just like, just all fell apart. But I was getting some interest from NFL scouts, like, you know, because they say like they'll find you anywhere. Like if you're good, they'll find you. But you know, it almost did not happen at all because I got kicked out of Sac State, and not too many people know that. I got kicked out not because I wasn't doing my part in the classroom. I got kicked out for getting in a fight with a teammate.
Man.
Yeah.
Dang.
And I'm not condoning fighting, but as an athlete, that happens all the time.
Especially in football.
But we had a new coach, so the coaches that recruited me, you know, they got let go because we weren't doing well. The new coach came in, and you know, he wanted to bring his own guys in, and I beat all of his guys out. But I finally gave him an excuse. You know, he didn't really care for me, and you know, some other stuff was going on. But me and a teammate got into it at a party off campus, and you know, it got back to the coaches. I got back to the locker room. There was a deadbolt on my locker.
Dang.
Did that player get kicked out as well?
No.
Unbelievable.
Not where that was going.
Yeah, no, not at all. So check this out, man. So there was a deadbolt on my locker. I'm like, what is going on? So I go see my position coach, which I was already going to go talk to him and let him know what was going on. And so he was like, just chill out, you know, take a couple of days and come back and see me, whatever, right? So so I wrote a letter to my, you know, to the captains, to the team, apologize, because I knew, like, you know, I got to take responsibility for it. And this just came off of my last game at Sac State. I think I had 2 or 3 touchdowns because they weren't even playing me. But the guy that they wanted to play over me, he fumbled a couple of times, and coach had to put me in. And my first carry, I took it to the house for like 60 yards.
That's wild.
And I'm looking at him like, yes.
Oh my goodness.
And then next year's got the ball, took it to the crib again.
No way.
That was how I ended my career there at Sac State. That was my last game sometime in October. Because it was around Halloween, because it was a Halloween party I got in trouble at. But when it all set in, I'm like, man, I just let my team down.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even available. So I wrote a letter, gave it to Otis, gave it, some captains. I was like, man, could you read it to the team? I apologize and stuff. Coaches wouldn't even let them read it to the team.
Wow.
So I kind of felt where this was going. So when I went back to go see my position coach, me and him just checking in, we walk into the office. I kid you not, they may deny it all day. We walk into the office. I see all the other coaches. Everyone like, oh, what's up, T? Mm-hmm. And then the head coach looks. He's like, oh, you're here. Been waiting for you. Everybody looks like, what's going on? He pulls me in his office. My coach sat next to me. Good thing he was there, because I might have caught a case that day.
Man.
He sat there and he said, yeah, I know your family's depending on you, and I know you have aspirations at NFL, but yeah, this is your last moment on the team. We're going to let you go. And if
that
unbelievable,
as he started talking about my family,
yeah,
it was rage building up in me. I was getting ready to go across that desk, man.
My goodness.
And then he started talking about some other personal stuff with girls, or just all kinds of just nonsense. It just was off limits, foul. And then he was like, hey, maybe if you want to try out and walk on in the spring.
Oh. What? Oh my goodness.
Just tears just started flowing down my eyes, man. And I was just like, man, what am I going to do? So I just left, and I was just like, man, like maybe this because this was my last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, maybe this is it,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I ended on a good note, trying to spin it.
Yeah,
because you were a junior at this point?
Yeah, because I was a junior, but being a prop, I had to either graduate already, mm-hmm. or be 80% towards my degree.
Okay.
So I had to apply for my 5th year. So I had another year
mm-hmm.
left, because I was on track, everything was good. But he was like, boom, gave me the deuces. So I remember going to my apartment. I'll try to share this part up. Go to my apartment, and call my grandparents, call my parents. Just like, man, like, I guess I'm done. And talked to our pastor at the time, and his son played ball at A-State. He's like, man, you too good not to play. He was like, you go up to Arizona, go train with our son, work out and just see what happens.
Yes.
And so I was thinking about that, but I really I felt like I didn't even love the game. Like, my years there, we weren't winning. Mm-hmm. I was dealing with knick-knack injuries here and there. Now I just got kicked off. I was like, man, I'm done with this. Wow. And one of my good friends that I play high school ball with, he went to Boise State. Mm-hmm. And he had just finished up, and he started coaching. Mm-hmm. So he calls to check in on me, like, hey, how are you doing? Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I'm doing. Yeah. And he was like, man, you got to keep playing. I was like, yeah, I hear you, but I'm not feeling it. And he was like, one of my boys who I used to play with, he coaches at Eastern Oregon. Mm-hmm. He was like, talk to him. I said, I don't want to talk to him. Yeah. He's like, talk to him. I said, for you, I'll talk to him.
I'm sure you got trust issues at this point.
Oh, it's hard. Yeah. And then my position coach, he said the same thing. He's like, he's like, I don't know what this dude's doing. He's like, I used to coach at Southern Oregon. Mm-hmm. I've already called the coaches. Mm. He was like, they just had a kid bounce back from Fresno State. Mm-hmm. I can't remember his name, running back. Now he's playing in the league. Mm. He's like, you got to do it. Mm. And so I was just like, all right, coach, I'll do it. I'll do it. Mm-hmm. And so, but then my boys like talk to Eastern Oregon. So I was just like, for you, I'm going to talk to him. So I call this coach, or he calls me, and I was like, all right, tell me about the program. I was like, yeah, I hear you, coach, but I think I'm going to go to, if I do this, I'm going to go to Southern Oregon. Mm-hmm. Their rival. And he was like, all right, I hear you. But he's like, our assistant head coach is recruiting in the area. Can you meet him? I was like, why not?
Yeah.
So I call my dad, call my grandfather. They come over to my apartment. The assistant head coach comes over to our apartment. So he's talking to me, and he really didn't know outside of just following the lead of his other coach. So I popped in this. I was like, man, you want me to pop in some film? Like, let's talk.
Yeah.
So I put in some film, and he was like, oh, dude, you're like a real deal. And it was like, yeah, like, we need you. Let's go. Mm-hmm. And I was like, coach, I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm going to go to Southern Oregon. Mm-hmm. Like, if I do this.
Yep.
And he was like, okay. And it was a shift in the room. This dude started helping me out. He's like, have you done this? Did you do this? Mm-hmm. Have you turned your trash? Did you finish your classes?
Yeah.
I was like, no. He's like, they didn't tell you that? I was like, no. He was like, for you to transfer, you need to do A, B, C. And I'm like, you're willing to help me? And I already told you I'm not going to go to your school? He's like, yeah. He's like, there's no reason for you not to be playing. He's like, I was like, why would you do that? He was like, you need another chance, and I want to make sure it happens for you.
Man.
I said, Coach, I'm going to go to your school.
Man, I love that.
And he said, are you serious? You want to recruit you? But I said, no. I said, I don't need no reason to change my mind, but just to see how you handle this, I'm there.
Oh, my goodness.
And went up to LeGrand, Oregon, in the middle of nowhere. Driving up this mountain and just like, where am I right now?
Man.
Best thing that ever happened to me.
Wow.
I'm in the middle of nowhere, no distractions, nothing but time to just reflect on just the last 4 years. And it was just like, what are you doing? What do you want? Start writing down my goals, start praying. I was like, Lord, I was like, I'm at the bottom. Like, this is like the worst place in my life right now. Like, help me. So I write down my goals. Like, NFL goals are still here. I still want to do it, just write it, all kinds of stuff, just prayed about it, stuck in my Bible. That's, oh, we have a Bible. We're all in a Bible app. Stuck it in my Bible, man. And then I thought about Otis, Otis Amy. Like, I've never seen anybody work as hard as he works. See, I was naturally gifted. I was pretty much on every team I've ever been on. I was probably the fastest. No, I was probably the fastest and the strongest person on every team. Didn't just naturally. So, like I said, within the confines of our regular schedule, I would work hard, but I wasn't doing anything else. But if you saw Otis, this dude, he'd just go run. I'm like, hey, we about to go hang out with some girls. He's like, nah, man, I'm about to go work out. That's what going. And so being in the middle of nowhere, reflecting, I'm like, man, my roommate was out there getting it, and I just left him hanging. And it did not on me because I was trying to work out, and nobody wanted to work out with me.
You see the difference? I mean, we're talking about legacy, right? And I know Renee. I bust Renee's chops because, I mean, 24/7, all he's been doing is spending time with his 3 kids, putting in that extra work, and it's the extra work.
It's the extra work because if you just follow the plan, everybody's doing the regular plan. We got stretching and we got practice. But if you're just doing that, how are you going to ever get better?
There's got to be a correlation to the fact that Otis, you mentioned Otis. Got to be a correlation to the fact that he made it to the NFL, and we're hearing stories like you're sharing right now.
Right. So I kid you not, I called him and I said, I'm sorry. He said, what you talking about, T? I was like, man, I should have been pushing you and allowing you to push me the whole time that we were at school together. I left you hanging. My bad. So I started getting it like never before. Like, I wasn't worried about kicking it. I was in LeGrand too, so it wasn't nothing to do. But so I'm I got a job at the weight room, so I'm in there hitting the weights. I'm running. I'm at this point now, I'm in the best shape I've ever been. And it was easy. I'm like, man, this is what working out does. It makes it that easy. But before that happened, another crazy thing happened. 2 weeks after getting on that campus in the spring, they had this player. His name was Nick Hanna, freak of nature from that area. But because small school, grew up in a small town, he's at this school. But freak of nature, linebacker, ran a 4.4, like just freak. And he's shopping his disc out there. And the Indianapolis Colts came to work him out. And so my coach, the head coach, Fenwick, he passed away a few years ago. He's like, hey, T, he's like, do you want to work out for the Colts? And I said, yes, but everything inside me said no. Because I hadn't trained since the last game that I kicked out in October. And so I'm like, so I called my grandfather. I said, hey, Pops, what do I do? Like, he said, I could go work out. He's like, what do you got to lose?
Seriously.
What do you got to lose? So I'll never forget this. And this is what really, because I went backwards, this is what kicked off the training and, calling Otis and all this stuff, man. So I get there, Nick is getting ready for his thing. And so only thing I was able to do was run the 40, and then I got to watch the rest of the stuff. It was about 30 degrees out there. It's cold. I'm out of shape. Only thing I did was knowing that this workout was going to happen within a week. I'm running every day. Like, I need to do something, right? And I end up running a 4.3 still out of shape. He said, he's like, oh,
I'm disgusted by that. That is unreal.
Ran a 4.3. He said, you're faster than everybody on our team right now. So I said, what is it going to take for me to get a shot?
Mm-hmm.
He says, if you show that you don't belong here, I will come back and give you a workout.
Mm.
That's all I needed to hear.
Yeah.
So boom, 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 on it. So that season, I played in, I think 8 games. I think we had a 10-game season. Play 8 games, 1,200 yards, like 12, just in 8 games. Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was great season, and sure enough, when I got back to SAC to start training, I was trying to find a place to work out at.
Yeah.
Couldn't work out at Sac State, so I went back home and I worked out at Lincoln High School. And the crazy thing, Lincoln High School, so the owners of the Chargers are the Spanos family. They're from Stockton, California.
That's right.
Growing up, I didn't even, just a naive kid, I didn't even understand all of this stuff, you know.
Who was your favorite football team growing up?
Growing up, man, we debate with my siblings about this all the time. They say I've made them Cowboy fans.
Okay.
So how I started like rooting for the Cowboys was just to get under my grandfather's skin because he's a diehard Niner fan.
I hear you.
He's a diehard Niner fan. And at that time, the big rival was the Cowboys and Niners. Yeah. So as a kid and a little bratty kid, I'm just like, oh, go Cowboys. I didn't even care, but it was just more so like you didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And so I guess my siblings picked up on it, so they started liking the Cowboys, but I didn't even really like watching football. Like, I did not watch football. I just like playing it.
This is the craziest, like, as I'm hearing your story and as I've talked to you before, it doesn't sound like your quintessential story of everything I eat and sleep is football. It sounded like there was always something. I know we're going to dive into this, but you were obviously a really good athlete, but this wasn't your identity. This wasn't like your absolute everything that you were willing to die for. You were playing it, obviously, but we'll dive into that in a little bit.
And I thought it was my identity because that's all I knew. But yeah, so I rooted for the home team, rooted for the Niners, the Raiders, whatever. But I didn't really care. I wanted to go play with my friends. I didn't want to sit down and watch a game, man.
That's great.
And so, but the Spanos, they own the Chargers, and I didn't pay attention to that either. So as I'm working out back home at Lincoln, you know, one of the family members, he was like, hey, you know, I didn't even know who he was at the time. He was just like, what you working on for? I was like, oh, you know, just trying to get ready for my pro day. Yeah. And he was like, oh, you know, any teams looking at you? I was like, yeah, you know, been talking to the Colts, you know, good chance. He's like, yeah, we don't like them. I was like, what? And so I was like, okay. And so like I said, Spanos family, amazing family, love them. All of them went to Lincoln High School. Their compound, everything is right across the street from Lincoln High School.
And how beautiful is this in the story? Because going back to the high school that you weren't even supposed to go to Lincoln
at all.
So tell me that God's not working in that.
God has been working this whole thing out, man. Yeah. So I'm trying to find a place to even do my pro day. Sac State would not allow me, and something I wouldn't want to come here anyway. Yeah. So we tried to call Cal. No one would let me. And so UC Davis, our rivals, they said, yes, you could come work out here. Dang. And so I did my pro day at UC Davis. Wow. They opened up the doors for me. And that same scout, and there was about 8 scouts from different teams there, but that same scout that said he's going to come back, he made sure that I was there. He came back.
And, man, that's incredible. Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
So did you already graduate from college?
No.
Okay.
I literally left. As soon as the season over, like being it was your window to get. It was like, hey, I'm trying to play ball.
Yep.
I'm done. I'm training. Like, cause I already knew a trade. I was like, I got to do this thing.
How was the pro day? How'd that all go?
Man, it was cool, but it didn't go the way that I wanted to go because trainers are hard and not really knowing how. I tweaked my hammy right before, so I didn't run as fast as I know I could. I ended up running like a 4.5 during my pro day, and even him was like, man, what's going on? I was like,
Yeah, man, we'll
Just timing.
Back, but you know what I mean? I'm not this high pro athlete. I can push my pro day back.
Yeah.
I was trying to get a day just to run.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but you know, I didn't run as well as I wanted to. But even that's not a bad time. But I know I'm a 4.3 guy, so I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
And he knew it too. And so, but I ended up doing the bench. I did 30 or 32 reps that day for the bench on the 225. My vert was a 36 still. And then went out there, caught everything, you know, did well. And it was just kind of like the waiting game kind of see. So it did some CFL workouts, did all kinds of stuff. And it showed me, man, like, you know, I was a little nervous going to all these different workout spaces because when you get there, you see the USC shorts, the Notre Dame shorts. And I'm just like, man, you know, Sac State, Eastern Oregon. And they're like,
Yeah.
Who was that?
Exactly.
You know? But got out there when we started playing football, dogging these kids is like, I was like, this don't even matter. And I don't know. But the cool thing, just like I said, God's working it all out, man. I'll never forget, you know, I was considered like a small school sleeper. There was a good chance that I could get drafted, you know, late rounds or whatever. And so I was like, you know, I was waiting for it. So I didn't change my routine. I was going to, you know, at that time, you know, I think want to see it was Saturday and Sunday or whatever. Day one was Saturday, day two was Sunday. So if anything was going to happen, it's going to happen day two for me. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go to church. Went to church that Sunday. And I was at Charles Amy's house. So after church, I was at his house, just me and him.
Oh,
you know, and
It's Otis's big brother.
Yeah. It was just me and him chilling, just talking. I wasn't paying attention to anything. I knew the draft was over, so I didn't get picked up. So I was just, you know, just chilling. And then my phone rang. It was my agent. He was like, hey, you want to be a San Diego Charger? And I just lost it.
Man.
I just started balling.
Man.
Just started balling, just like, wow.
How old were you, 21?
I was, 22, turning 23, 22, 23. Yeah. I just lost it. Just like, wow, like, can't nobody tell me there's not a God, because there's no way I should be here.
Yeah.
Not because I wasn't good enough, but all the different things, then, you know, mountains and hurdles, like, there's no reason I should be getting this call right now. And then just going back to the God thing, man, like, and like I said, just being a naive little kid, just, you know, not really paying attention. It wasn't until I got on the plane, because my dream was to make it to the NFL. And I said, if I can make it to the NFL, I would love to play in California. But growing up in Northern California, growing up in Stockton, I only associated the Niners and the Raiders.
Exactly.
And so as I'm on the plane to go to rookie minicamp, I was like, oh God, like, I'm still in California. I'm playing for I'm here. And so
and you could have ended up in Indianapolis. Let me tell you, have you been to Indianapolis?
I have.
Okay.
So,
and you've been to San Diego.
yes. Anyway, so this is how I'm greeting when I get to the facility. So I'm walking in, you know, now eyes wide open. I'm nervous, like, you know, this is every clear stream, like, this is happening, right?
Man.
And so the first person to greet me, as he was leaving the facility, I'm walking in, he was like, what's up, T, baby? I'm like, Lorenzo Neal.
Man.
So I met Lorenzo when I was in high school. He came to come talk to us because he ended up marrying one of my teachers.
This is
Like, get out.
No, it was Neal.
He was the fullback. He was dropping off.
Dude, man. He definitely, if they're gonna let some fullbacks in the Hall of Fame, he's definitely gotta be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Where's he from?
He's from I want to say like Tulare, somewhere close to. And he went to Fresno State, but he's from the area. But yes, the teacher that we all had a crush on, and used to try to sneak into her class and not miss her class, he married her. Wow! And so she brought him to come talk. She's like, "Hey, I want you to meet some of our guys and stuff." So I remember him coming my senior year, talking with him, and then fast forward. He was like, what's up? And he was like, Denisha's in the car. So, and I had it. So I was like, oh, so that's how it was, man.
Yeah.
Incredible. So what were the nerves like? I mean, I could only imagine. So just kind of walk us through a little bit year one with the Chargers. I mean, what were the nerves like? What was that like?
Man, the crazy thing is, you know, so you're there with all the rookies, and then, you know, once you get past rookie minicamp, and you're there in training camp and all the vets there. and you all the other guys there. I could see some of the other linemen and other guys, the big guys. They were scared because they were like, they're used to being the biggest guy in the room, and they got on this team. They're not the biggest no more. Mm-hmm. For me, I've always been smaller than everybody, so it was nothing. I'm just like, what y'all tripping about? Like, they always been. So for some of the linemen and D linemen and linebackers, so used to being the biggest one on their campus, they come in and they're like looking at Sean Merriman, you know, Foley, like we had some dudes.
You had some dudes. Give them the content. I know what team you're talking about. Yes. Name the team that you were on and these guys that you were playing with.
Phillip Rivers, my running back room, LT.
LaDain Thomason, man.
All those family.
Come on, man.
Michael Turner, Darren Sproles, Lorenzo Neal, Andrew Pink. We were loaded, man. Then you have, you know, my rookie class, Antonio Cromartie, Marlon McCree, Jamal Williams, Cooper, man, Trey Florence. I'm naming up a stuff. We should have went to the Super Bowl that year.
Man,
I could tell. I'll get to that part how that didn't happen.
We'll get to that.
Drew Brees played for the Chargers.
Year before I got four.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was Phillip Rivers' first year starting, taking over. Yeah.
How finally of a competitor was Phillip?
Phillip, I love him. Like, some people hate him.
I'm a fan, so I hate him.
He is the nicest guy, but he talks smack with the best of them, but he doesn't cuss.
Oh, really?
He does it.
I just heard he had his 10th kid, right?
That's about right.
Yeah, man.
That's a guy, man. He let out a lot of gosh darn it's.
Yeah. But yeah, man, we were loaded, and it was a dream come true. It wasn't easy by any means. I just feel like when I look at my life, there was nothing easy about it. Like, I never just had people on the outside. I'm like, oh, like this dude's like, how are you here? But it was never smooth. It was never smooth, man. And so being there with other rookies, just like, man, trying to do my thing. I still struggle with injuries, like, trying to, like I said, just getting used to working out, just these little knick-knack things. And so I had a great rookie mini camp.
Yeah.
Balled out. Yeah. Getting ready for training camp. That same hamstring that I tweaked it again right before training camp started. So then this is what happened. The first day, I'm sitting there just doing, I'm doing everything I can. I was like, I'm undrafted.
Yes, exactly.
I can't miss a practice. You don't make the team in the cold tub. That's what they tell you, man. And so I'm scared. So I'm not telling nobody. I'm just sitting there just like, I gotta figure out how to get on the field. So I went to the trainers. I was like, hey, can you stretch me out? He grabbed my leg. He was like, oh, you're not going out there. Oh, we almost fought. I was like, no, I'm going out there. Tears come. I gotta go. He was like, nah. He's like, you gonna hurt yourself. I was like, nah. So first day one, and this is when we did 2 days. Yeah. Like, they don't do that no more. It's like, it's a cakewalk. Like, I'm not saying guys don't work hard and they're not, but they have it easy. Man. You do right now. I was just at training camp. You have one practice and a walkthrough and you chill. We had double days and walkthrough, like, so I missed the first practice. So missing the first one, I missed 2. And so I'm just sitting there just like, man. And then the next day I missed 2 more.
Yeah.
And mind you, as I'm missing practice, there's people getting cut.
Terrifying.
And so I'm just like, and even worse, every roommate that I had, my rookie in camp, every roommate got cut.
Oh, you're anxiety.
I did not unpack my bag. I'm seeing dudes leave. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, it's only a matter of time. I'm not out here right now. So I told myself, I was like, as soon as I get out there, I got to do something. I got to do something to let them know. So my first, when I finally got it clear to get back on the field, we were doing our scrimmage, whatever. And I was like, I'm about to pick the biggest dude out that I'm going to run through. I got the ball planted on my foot. I saw it was either I could hit the sideline, but I saw the dude coming out. Lay right into him. All your everybody. That's how I did something. Everybody already know. They're like, we just can't check that. We got to scrub this. We just let him through for a second. So that happened. So I'm like, okay, bought myself some time, right?
Huh?
So then we, we're going, everything's going good. You're not gonna believe it. I tweaked my other hamstring a few days later, overcompensating, and I hit the ground. We were doing one-on-ones, took off down the sideline and just pulled up, and I just hit the ground, and I'm just like, God, please, like, really. And I'll never forget this. And this is where I knew this helps me today in terms of, because my career didn't go the way I dreamed it to go. Everything that I ever asked for in life, God has blessed it to happen, just not the way I thought it was going to be.
Yep.
But little things like this just show me like, dang, you are good enough. You could do all this stuff. So I hit the ground. Our offensive coordinator, Coach Cam Cameron. So mind you, this is what happens when somebody gets hurt, they go like this, blow the whistle, move everybody down 10 yards, we keep it going. He stops what he's doing. He comes over to me. He's like, son, we see you. We got the best training staff in the NFL. Get healthy. And then he went back over to practice.
Man, that's crazy.
And it was just like, I was able to breathe because I almost lost it.
Yeah.
So
Otis talks about that too. I mean, I remember Otis is sharing stories one day where every single day just fearing for your job.
Yeah.
And living in that's just got to be just stressful beyond belief.
It's crazy. I mean, especially, you get a little taste of it watching Hard Knocks, and you see that the Grim Reaper, that one coach, knock on the door. Yeah. Let me get your playbook. Now it's about, let me get your iPad. That's a real deal, man. And so let me speed it along, man. So like I dealt with all that. And so it finally got down to, so now I missed the first preseason game. So, but everything's cool. The second one, I had to suit up because they're making cuts. And so I'm just like, so I flew my family down. I was like, this might be the only time you ever see me in a uniform. Like, so I'm down there, and I'm not quite 100%, but you're never 100%. Like, and so, but I was good enough to get around and not hurt myself. But I'm only a shell of myself. Like, I know I wasn't, but I was out there. I was like, I had to do it. So
dream come true. Putting that uniform.
Put the uniform on, man. I'll never forget it. And I came from a small school.
Yeah.
So even in this game, like, I was like, oh man, like, okay, this is what we've been waiting for.
Yes.
And so I got in a couple plays, and I did cool. Nothing magical, nothing special.
Yeah.
But it was cool. A few yards here, made some guys miss. Nothing crazy. But then one of the guys, we had you have a lot big rooms at that time because it's camp. But then one of the other guys, like, that we're competing with, he takes off for a 40-yard touchdown run. I was like, oh yeah, that's it for me. So the next day they already told you, like, hey, if you're still here, you go to the weight room. If not, just get your stuff. And so I'm just like, dang, I was dreading going to the facility because like the writing's on the wall. Like, I ain't practice. I only got a couple of snaps in. The guy I'm competing with, man. He just he did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I'm walking, kind of like with my head down. Coach Cam, he's like, Gross, what you doing? It's like, man, I'm about to go get my stuff. He's like, why aren't you in the weight room? Yeah, I bet I had to weight room right now. So, I'm good. The dude who scored, he got cut.
That's crazy.
This story is incredible.
Crazy.
So I'm just like, oh my goodness. But it was just like, all right, you can breathe just a little bit more. So let me get to it. So last preseason game, man, where, like I said, I still, nurturing this injury, but, enough to practice and, play. And so last preseason game, they're like, hey, it was me and another guy. He's like, y'all gonna get all the reps. LT doesn't even do preseason.
Yep.
You guys gonna get all the reps, and then we're gonna see what you got. So I'm like, all right, cool. And so, like I said, I'm not a big classroom guy, and I don't like getting put on the spot. Not that I can't handle it, but it's just like, I don't know. It's just something about like, if I get put on the spot, like I just kind of freeze up for a second. If like I just feel uncomfortable. Coach is like, hey, put this plane, go right up get the chalkboard. And so, you know, and I would imagine big college football, but definitely at the pro level, like you have to know everything. It's not just your job. Like, you know, like I said, all the playbooks is on iPads now, but this was our playbook. Like, it's like learning a foreign language. I did more studying in the NFL than I did my whole school career. Like,
wow.
I'm just being honest. And so, so you got to know your job, everybody on offense, the lineman, what coverage is there and what the deep, the stuff. You have to know it all. So he says, get up there, write the play down. So I get up there, and so I'm processing, but this coach, he's one of those coaches. And I'm being one of the young guys, he ain't going to ever yell at LT. So even if he's mad at him, I'm about to get it all. I took too long, and he said, you sit down. You think you're going to get on the field with our $1 million quarterback? You're not playing. Hey. And I just sat down, and I'm just like, so that's how we're going to end the meeting. So everybody leaves the meeting. I'm the last one leaving the room. LT and Lorenzo Neal, they come like, T, you don't know your plays? I was like, yeah, I know my plays. And I was able to spit it out to him like, yeah, ooh. That's like, okay. All right. I didn't even know what that meant. So not only was my position coach, the running back coach, that just chewed me out and said, I'm never playing. Because in his mind, it's like, can't trust you. If I can't trust you, this is my job.
Exactly.
You're never playing. And he meant it. And not only did he meant it, that last preseason game, he was the one calling the offense.
Wow.
He was calling the offense. So we're down playing against the Niners. We're down in Frisco, right? And, you know, got my family here because, like, now for real, this is it. I'm done. And so I'm on the sideline, and I'm watching everybody play except for me. Otis is on the other sideline, which is kind of
cool.
I'm just sitting there just like, man, this sucks. And then Lorenzo and LT is like, T, you ready? It's like, man, yeah. It's like, we're going to get you in this game. You ready? I was like, y'all get me in this game. It's a wrap. So they go over to the coach. Put him in. This was advocating.
Oh, yeah.
Put him in.
Oh, yeah.
He's looking, he's like, nah. So right at the end of the third quarter, Gross, get in there. Make sure I almost ran out with no helmet on.
So was LT even geared up?
No, he wasn't geared up.
Okay, neither was Neal?
Nope. Last preseason game, this is the last shot for who's gonna make the squad. And so I run out there, and then I think either the first or second play, but when I get the ball, had like a little 5-yard run. All right.
Yeah.
Got that out.
Yeah.
Now we're going to the fourth quarter. So I kind of tried out like, man, do I get to stay in?
Yeah.
And he's like, stay in. Got the ball again. Did something else. And then got the ball, reverse field. Up off of that reverse field. Ooh. You ain't supposed to do that kind of stuff. Reverse field, hit the sideline. Defense kind of hurdled over a guy. I hit another guy. Whole crowd going crazy.
Wow. He literally ran it for his life now. This is your career right now.
I got I got a picture. My leg is wrapped. You seeing the bandage cover that? It didn't matter at that time. I ended up having like 10 touches for like 85 yards.
Oh my gosh. Let's go.
And that's all she wrote.
Man. That's all she wrote. Hey, I love me some LT now. I love some Lorenzo Neal, man. Them boys got you in and they got performed.
They got me in, man. And that was what the reason why that team was so special is because that's what the vibe was. The whole team was like that.
Yeah.
The whole team was like that. I'll give you some funny stuff. Some funny stuff. Okay.
Yes.
So that was more of the serious stuff. So there was all that. So now the season started with it, right? So as a rookie, you hear about the hazing and all that kind of stuff. That's real too. And so I hate Krispy Kreme donuts. I vow that I will never eat them again. I will never, because I feel like I should have invested stock in Krispy Kremes. So I get there. You guys remember Keenan McCardell?
Oh, yeah.
So he was on my squad too. He coaches that. He was on the squad. Yes, wide receiver.
Yes.
Keenan was, dude. So he's like, all right. He comes. He's like, hey, Rook, where the donuts at? I'm like, what are you talking about? One, he's a receiver too. Yeah. I'm just like, what are you talking about? So he's like, LT, Lonell, y'all Rook don't know the deal? And so they looked at me. They're like, yeah, where the donuts at? There's like, come back again with no donuts to see what happened. So I'm sitting there tripping it. I'm like, what is these fools talking about, right? So there's like, yeah, you need to, for the office meeting, you need to have donuts for everybody. So I said, okay. So then my roommate, he was a defensive player. The DBs got on him too. There's like, so it was like, he was like, man, what we gonna do? I was like, we gotta get the donuts, right? Yeah. So wake up early, go, went to whatever the grocery store, to the bakery. Yeah. Got all kinds of, like, they want donuts. I'm a pastry. I got the works. They want some juice. Got it all. Out of the facility, laid it out. Cool. I'm there. Yeah. Said, what's this? I was like, I just.
They're one of the Krispy Kremes.
I ain't even got my first check yet. I still kind of stupid. Yeah, what's this? And threw it away. There's like, come back again, and it better be Krispy Kremes. I'm like, almost lost it. I grew up humble, but we didn't have no money growing up. We don't throw this stuff away. Like, they threw it away. And I said, okay, where's the Krispy Kremes at? Yeah. They said, you know that one road? I can't even think of the road. There's like, go down it. And then when you think you lost, keep going. We got meetings at 6:30 in the morning. So I'm just like, dang, I got to get these donuts, man. I didn't sleep the next day. So I was like, man, I can't be late to the meeting. So get up there. Like, I think I might have left my house at like 4 o'clock in the morning because I was like, I don't know how to still need to get these donuts. And so driving down, me and my roommate were going, and then we finally found it. It was a long way. Yes, it was. It didn't take as long as I thought, but we definitely drove like 45 minutes. No traffic. Yeah. And so we got the donuts to get back. Got the Krispy Kremes. I'm like, all right, we good. They said these things not even hot.
Oh my God.
I said, man, we're going to give you a pass, but make sure they're hot. So, man, I think that year I might have spent like 10 racks on Krispy Kreme donuts, man. Like, when I was looking at my tax, it's definitely something crazy like that.
Unreal.
But I kept them cool because there was other guys that felt like they was too big and too grounded. They found their stuff in the cold tub or on top of the thing, and it was a wrap for them. But it was all love, like, so. But yeah, man. So yeah. I hate Krispy Kreme donuts.
Yeah. Next time I was with you, I'd be like, you better make it hot. That's great. I need you to give me a Tom Brady story, though, man.
Tom Brady, man. The most composed player I've ever seen in my life. So it goes back to I feel like if it wasn't for Tom Brady, I would have on this show right now 1 or 2 Super Bowl rings.
Man,
this dude is crazy, man. So this is the 2006 season. So yeah, we best team in the league.
Yep.
Did you play just 1 season for the Chargers?
2. We'll get to that.
Okay.
But yeah, so 14-2. Yeah, we were 14-2 that year.
All in.
So we're playing against the Patriots, and you guys all know the story. We're winning the game. Game's over. Tom Brady's trying to do his thing to come back and win it. We're up. He throws a pick. He throws it to my boy Marlon McCree. Picks it off. Game's over. Literally, all he has to do is just sit down, take a knee. Mm-hmm. He keeps running. The receiver comes up from behind him. I can't remember his name, but I want to say the receiver used to play for the Chargers, but he came up, bow, fumble. Tom got another shot at it, and he went to work.
Oh, my God.
Touchdown, game over.
Man.
They ended up winning the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah, they did, man. I remember seeing that game, and it's unreal. That's unreal. But yeah, I didn't even imagine being on the sideline.
This dude, he just didn't, the whole time, he's just standing there, like, not fazed by nothing. Like, it was just one of those things, like, he knew no matter what, we're going to win this game.
Man.
Who had the greatest work ethic on that San Diego Chargers team?
LT.
Quick, easy. LT.
He's unreal, man. Unreal.
And one of the greatest guys in the world. What you see, that's who he is.
Amazing.
That's who he is.
I again, being a Raider fan, he used to tear us up. Oh my God! I think did he go for 4 touchdowns in what?
Like 20.
I'm like, come on, man! It was easy pickings. He's amazing.
Yeah, funny LT story. So, so during that season, we're on the sideline. We're running through everything, and so first team's out there, and so there's like, Gross, get in. So I'm just all right. And so I get in the huddle. I'm looking, I see, man, Nick Hardwick, Phillip Rivers, Low Neil, looking at all these guys like, I watched it, like, in there with okay. And then it was like a movie, man. I heard like, you know what you're doing? It's LT right here. In here. Like, I'm like, I'm in the huddle.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. It was like it was 44 counter. Counter, you gotta, step left, go right. I was like, yeah, 44 counter, go right. He's like, okay. Then I was just like, you only got seconds before the play, but it's like 30 minutes. This is what it felt like. So I'm sitting there like, okay, dang. LT came up here too. I can't mess up. Everybody watching, can't mess up. Like, dang. So 44 counter, go right. Phillip says, hike. I go the wrong way.
Oh, no.
I go the wrong way. I step right where I should have stepped left to go right. I went right. I gotta go right. I go right. And I see him, he's trying to hand the ball. I was like, turn back, grab the ball, end up still making a great play out of it. Or it would have been all bad.
Oh my gosh.
But, and they just looked at us like, man. But like I said, I got like 10 yards on the play.
Yeah.
Where it could have been a disaster, but yeah, it just threw me off. I was like, LT is really right here? Like,
man.
On the Jordan documentary, they talk so much about people that played with Michael Jordan, just the people that just idolized him.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that played a part in it, you know what I mean? Being able to turn that off.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine the nerves and the anxiety being around literal legends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And being able to just get your job done.
Yeah.
Get your job done.
Yeah. So no, great team, great teammates, man.
What a wild ride, man. So you said what wrapped up your career, man?
Yeah, man. My second year, and things were just lining up where it was real good. Like finally, like the game really slowed down. Like where it's just like, okay, I got a real grasp of it, and like felt like myself. I knew how to train my body. I was 229% body, and 9% body fat. I was best shape of my life. Flying up and down the field, just strong, just, like I said, got a good grasp of how things were going. We got Marty Scheinheimer was our head coach, and then they ended up letting him go after that 14-2 season, and it was Norv Turner.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
I know, right?
It was some front office stuff. It was definitely like, it was crazy. Yeah, him and the GM did not get along. That's all that was. But yeah, so that next year was just like, all right, this is, make a name for yourself.
Yeah.
And so, going through everything, going to training camp, getting more reps and stuff, want to see more of you put in different packages, because the way I play, man, like I said, small in stature, but 220, that's not small for a back.
No.
And I had great speed. I could catch the ball. I could run it between the tackle. I could do all of it. And so, getting those opportunities. And so as you hear all the time, like it's special teams that, opens the door. So we're playing against the Seahawks. And I'm crazy when, like, I used to be real crazy. Like I told you, I like to hit people. They don't do this, they banned it, but I was the guy who bust the wedge. Like I would run down.
Yeah.
Run through it. And so, and the wedges, the reason why they stopped, like those wedges were 300-pound linemen.
Yeah.
Lock it in.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to, and I would just run through it, just
man.
And so I had like a few just crazy blow-ups and made some tackles where we were just like, oh, okay. And it's like, hey, you're gonna get your shot. Like, we're gonna let you run the ball.
Yeah.
And so after that game, and I remember there was, Norv was on an interview. There was like, who do we look out for? Watch out for Tyronne Gross, this kid. And so against the St. Louis Rams at the time, man, I've never watched the play, but my last play, ran the ball. I felt like it was like part of the rest. He like the whole open so wide. Millie Volick was quarterback. He was like, T, you ready to go?
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And so Billy Volick, his dad was my head coach at Sac State, Coach Volick.
That is why.
Yep.
So was he filling in for Rivers?
Yeah, he was the number 2 quarterback on the roster. So Billy Volick, me and him was in there. He's like, T, you ready to go? I was like, let's go. And so he gives me the ball, I swear, like just partying. So I'm, when you run, you're not even worried about first level. You're looking second level. So I'm looking at the safety, and I'm, getting ready to plant, set him up. I felt like, so I've never watched it, but I've always felt, just from the way I remember it, I felt like it was either going to be a touchdown or it was going to be what happened. And the way I planted in the ground, guy jumped on my back, and I got stuck in the turf and dislocated kneecap. You remember the program movie, The Program?
Great movie.
Phenomenal movie. But that one scene when it was, my kneecap was over here.
Oh my goodness.
It was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life.
Oh my
I'm just screaming, I'm hollering, just yelling, just crying.
Gosh.
Like that yellow cart that you don't ever want to see, like they're pulling that out. They're moving it, like everybody's on the field. And I remember the trainer coming, he was like, when I put it back in place, you'll be all right. And he said, shh. And when he put it back in place, it's just, the tears just start flowing down.
Dang.
And
That's obviously where that scar comes
that's
from.
where that scar comes from, man. And so, but it was like spaghetti. Like when they lifted me to put on the cart, it was nothing holding together. They're like, it was nothing. And so I remember getting on the cart, and then I remember LT gave me a hug, kissed me on my forehead. He's like praying for you. He's like, I got you, man. It's gonna be all right. And that was my last moment on the NFL field.
Oh my goodness.
And so got off the field. I'm just like, and that moment was like, man, like, dang, like this. And it's just crazy, man. So they didn't know if I was going to be able to fly back to California. So they was thinking I might have to do surgery there right away.
Wow.
So they were able to get me in a place where I was able to fly back. And so now it was just like, all right, where I'm going to do surgery. And so there was like, man, Dr. Andrews, best guy in here, or Dr. Taboni, which was in LA. And I couldn't afford to fly again. So got my surgery done with Carl and Joe, Dr. Taboni. He was actually a USC doctor. So did my whole thing, man. And so I'm really, at the time, even though I know it was a dislocation, I'm thinking I messed up my ACL, and I have no clue what I did, but I know it wasn't good. But I'm, it is ACL. And so got the first surgery done, man. And I remember, a week or two when I had to go follow back up to see the doctor, it was in that moment where I gave up, and I was ready to just give up on everything. When he took the cast off, my leg was barely bigger than my arm.
Wow.
And I just lost it.
Wow.
And I was just, that's crazy. But it was like, I felt like I heard like a sweet, still voice. Like I felt like I was like, just trust me. Just trust me. And I was just like, and it wasn't just trust me, but it was trust me, you'll play again.
Okay.
And everybody was like, nah, everyone was being so kind because they knew how bad it was. Yeah. But I didn't know.
Yeah.
So one surgery, I'm in a wheelchair, from a wheelchair to, crutches, one crutch, cane, et cetera. I had to learn how to walk again. Second surgery, all this stuff, man. I did 2 surgeries. And so goes back to, you said, my father. Had it not been for this injury, me and my father would have had the relationship that we have today.
Wow.
So I told you at the age of 6, I moved in with my grandparents. I had a 2-story condo in San Diego. I couldn't take care of myself. So my father was like, hey, you can come stay with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I stayed with my father, and I don't call her stepmom, but my stepmom.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed with them.
Mm-hmm.
First time I lived with my dad since before 6.
Wow.
And being there, like, I realized from this injury, there's so many things I could relate to life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, we just take so much for granted.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how blessed I was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was in 1 month period, I can think there was one day that I saw actual sunlight because I was stuck. When I was hungry, I couldn't just go get up and go grab something to eat.
Yeah.
I needed someone to help me. I needed somebody to help me use the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, we take all this stuff for granted. But it forced me to talk with my dad.
Yeah.
And we talked about everything.
Wow.
Everything. It forced me to talk to my stepmom, my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, we're great.
Amazing.
Had that injury, it would never happen. I moved out of my grandparents' house right before my senior year in high school. I literally been on my own
Mm-hmm.
the entire time.
Ever since. Yeah.
Never asked for help.
Yeah.
And I was in a place where I needed help.
Yeah.
And they were there.
Yeah.
And we were able to talk about everything. So that mended the relationship with my father and restored all that, man. And then something else happened, man, where it's just like, I tell people all the time, it felt like if God said, Tyronne, I'm going to give you a chance. You can choose the career that you dreamed of, that you felt that you could have. I'm going to let that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can go down the path that I just took you on.
Mm-hmm.
I would take this path that has me sitting here right now every time. My knee cost me millions of dollars.
Yes, it did.
Millions. If I could put a price tag on it, probably about $20 million.
Mm-hmm.
I would choose this path every time because the blessings that's come out of it is priceless.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so a restored relationship with my father. I met my wife on an airplane that I wasn't supposed to be on. If I wasn't hurt, I would have never been on that airplane.
Mm-hmm.
Were you just sitting right next to her?
No, she's a flight attendant.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a flight attendant.
You were one of the nicer ones on the airplane that
I was the one just telling her, like, I'm trying to mind my business. Leave me alone. Don't talk to me. Bro, still asleep. Man, that's a whole other. So we're about to do another podcast about on that, man.
Yeah, we got.
But so met my wife, man. Which that changed my life. Like the most beautiful woman in the world, and I'm not talking about her outer. She's a beautiful woman, but her inside. I fell in love with her relationship with Christ, and that's never happened. I'm just like, I've never like. Just like most guys, I was lusting over women, but I saw her for who she was, and it changed my life. And so, all those things, man. But then going back to this injury, right? I didn't know how bad it was until after my second surgery, I'm doing rehab, and the physical therapist, he's like, Dr. Sarah, he's like, you know what you did? I was like, oh yeah, I messed up my ACL. He's like, the recovery plan for you? The plan is for you to be able to have a normal life, to be able to run with your kids one day, never to play football again. You dislocated your kneecap. You tore your ACL, your PCL, your LCL. You shattered your IT band. If you feel this thing right, look, you shattered that. And I tore part of my hamstring and calf all in one play. He said, we're trying to get you to have a normal life. You will never play. And then I told him, I said, but that's not what God told me.
Mm-hmm.
A year and a half of rehab, I got cleared to play pro ball again.
Whoa. That's all the time? Then by the time you got cleared?
I got cleared to play pro ball again. So in my mind, not understanding the business, not understanding all this, so I took it personal. Understanding now, I'm going to give myself another shot. I'm a risk. But the blessing was they just started the UFL. And they had their inaugural season. I got invited to a private workout in Vegas and did the workout, killed the workout. I got drafted to the New York Dragons, or New York Sentinels, yeah.
I would have been absolutely just scared out of my mind to have experienced an injury like that and wanted to step back out on the field. I mean, did that play a factor with you at all?
You know, I had my moments because it was mental because my knee itself was stronger than it ever was. Like, you know, they replaced this whole thing. Like, so my knee was strong, but it was like mentally, can I get over it? And so, but I was so driven, just like, man, like I felt like and maybe this would have been a smarter decision. Like I could have milked this thing and it's probably been paid for my whole life. Like, what type of injury I had, but I'm just like, I felt on my, like, God said I could play football again. I'm going to play football again. And I know I could make more money if I play football. Yeah. So I'm like, let's do it, you know? And so I got back on the field. I played a whole season of football. And I'm like, okay, what's next? But the thing was, it wasn't to play football so I could play again. It was for me to understand that God was in control of everything. Then that's who I could trust. Yeah. So what happened was I started doing chapel for our team. And I was just in my word. And then one day, one of the pastors wasn't available to do chapel. And the coach said, hey, T, would you do chapel? And I'm just like shaking my head, no, but I said yes. And I'm like, what am I going to talk about? And I was like, what do you think you were doing on the plane right now? That's what you're talking about. This is the beginning. This is the beginning. Yeah. And so I ended up just like doing chapels for the team and stuff. And so at the end of that season, once again, now this was me being disobedient. God was like, when you get home, don't stop what you're doing. Because I was in my word, man. I was like, okay, that's what I'm doing. I got home. I just finished the whole season. I'm trying to get back in the NFL. I'm trying to play. So I'm training. I'm doing everything but what I'm supposed to do. And our whole coaching staff got fired. So I'm like, all right, I ain't tripping. I'm ready to go out there, do some workouts. I'm killing the workouts. Can't get signed by nobody. It's like, what the heck is going on? I was like, what did I tell you to do? So I told my wife, I was like, okay. So I went to Sac City and I went to American River. I was like, hey, I would love to mentor your players and I would love to do chapel for you. They're like, well, we don't have no money for that. And I said, I don't need your money. Just give me a day that you commit to and I'll be committed to your guys. So I started doing, this was going into 2010 football season. And so I started doing chapel for Sac City. Started doing chapel for ARC.
How old were you?
So now what?
That'll make you like
27. Yeah, about 27. And so doing chapel for the guys. There was a group of young men that came from Detroit. So me and my wife kind of took them in, make sure they have food and stuff, helped them out and stuff. And just started working with kids. And so then I just started like, well, if this is going to be life after football, what do I do? There's only two things that I love doing. I love playing football and I had a love for people, but I didn't know what to do with that. And I was just like, man, but there were so many people who poured into me to give me an opportunity. I was like, I'm just going to, I have to give back. And so giving back started with chapel, mentoring, and then started speaking at schools, sharing my story. And then that itch came back because like, man, I really want to do this. And so I was like, maybe I'll do the arena thing. Try that out. And connected with Aaron Garcia and some other guys. So I started training, went to San Jose to Sabercast working out. I was like, man, I could do this. I'm like, man, maybe this is my road. I can. So I'm gonna tell you a quick story and I'm gonna jump off of it. So arena, first time I've ever got cut in my life, man. So I'm on the arena team. San Jose, their roster was full, so they just keep a lot of guys around just in case. And so AG, a couple of them guys, they're playing in Jacksonville. Jacksonville Sharks. And so they're like, hey, come out here, come work out, see. So they got me a workout, signed a contract with them. I was like, cool. Like within 2 days, there was like a preseason game.
Oh, geez.
So I'm in the back of the hotel. They teaching me the stuff. And I'm just it's a different game, man.
It is.
And so I go in there, sit up, but it was kind of cool because like everything's real close.
Yeah.
It's like, man, so played in the game, right? I touched the ball 5 times. I scored 3 times. And I got cut the next day.
What?
I got cut the next day. But it was crazy. But it was cool because it was just like, once again, it was just like, man, you could do this. And then San Jose had called it like, hey. So I was like, all right, maybe we'll go to San Jose. And then Then my agent hit me up. He was like, hey, the Raiders called. They want to bring you in. So I was like, forget this arena stuff. I'm going to start training and get ready for this.
Yeah.
And so this was, I want to say, I might have it reversed, but I think McFadden was injured and Michael Bush was holding out.
Okay. Yeah.
Around that
for
time.
sure.
So I never listened to talk radio at all. So as I'm driving up to Napa for my workout, and then one of my other partners, he was playing. He was another running back on the team, Lewis Rankin. He's from Stockton. And he was like, man, he was like, we could use you over here. I was like, man, okay. And so as I'm driving up to the facility, I turn on talk radio and like, Michael Bush just signs his contract.
He was holding out. I remember exactly.
I was like, hey, man, did my workout. I was talking to Mark Davis, man, and we had a cool conversation.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, man, when I was talking to my dad, I was trying to get him to get you over here and stuff. And so he's actually a funny guy. That's a his stuff. But he was real cool, man. Did my workout. I had a cool workout. If you talk to any NFL player, man, or any free agent, like doing a private workout is the hardest workout you ever do in your life. Like, cause they try to break you. It's the hardest thing you will ever do. And don't be by yourself. And I was by myself. The hardest thing, cause it's nonstop.
That's crazy.
And you there's no walking on the field.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And everything has to be full speed. And you just going, do. The hardest thing ever. So, but it was cool. Man, once again, how many people get a chance to work out, for the Raiders working? So, and in my mind, I was just like, you know what? Like, I know in my heart, as hard as it was, because I hated football after this injury.
Yeah.
I know I was good enough to do this thing, but it wasn't in my cards. And so, didn't end up getting a call back from the Raiders. And I was just like, all right, cool. Like, started working on the foundation stuff. And so from there, I won't spend time on this, but had the opportunity to be a part of a Arena One franchise expansion team.
Oh, wow.
So I was a GM, director of player personnel, and I only said yes to it if I could do chapel. So moved to San Antonio, got all these players from around the area and stuff, and we had one of the best expansion records of any professional team coming out. Like, we were one game away from winning a championship game for Arena. I had a few of my guys sign NFL contracts, so I'm the one helping negotiate and talk to the GMs or the scouting directors, like, tell me about this player. So that was really cool. I was like, maybe, this is what I'm supposed to do. And God was like, this is not what you're supposed to do. I told you. And so I told my wife, I was like, you know what? Walk away from it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to go back home and we're going to do this. I didn't even know what this was, but we're going to do this. So left the job, came back home, and, so the organization was originally the Tyronne Gross Jr. Foundation. I didn't want it to be anything about me. So I just started praying, like, what, Lord, what is it? And so he gave me a vision of a table. And I saw a table, I saw like chairs coming to the table, and I felt like God was at the head of it. And I sat at the table, and it's like, bring people to the table. I saw these like minds coming together to create change. Yeah. So I was just like, all right, so use this to go serve the community, serve the kids, go speak. And so just literally just pound the pavement. Any opportunity, like, yeah, I'll speak. We don't have no money. I don't care. I just want to, how can I help?
Yeah.
How can I do it? So just boom, 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 boom. And then that led to, getting a phone call. Stockton Unified School District, they were looking for some after-school providers, which is now called Expanded Learning. And so I was like, I don't know anything about that. I used to be in a after-school program as a kid, but if this gives us access to kids and families, we'll try it. We'll put our name in the hat. Yeah. So got help putting together this RFP and talking about what we can do and stuff. And we got awarded 4 school locations to service, the district. And, that was crazy, because we're like, man, this is crazy. I'm sitting here like on a table hiring people. So we had to hire like 4 staff for each side. Like, people are interviewing to work. This is nuts. I'm like, if y'all knew, I'm just this little kid from South Stock. This is crazy, man. And so started doing that, and just really committed our lives to just helping people. I didn't care about what somebody, what their beliefs were. It was just more so like, hey, I know what I believe and I know what I'm called to do. I'm called to love and serve people. So our song is love, serve, and unite. It's just like bringing people together. Meet you right where you're at. I don't care if you come to my church, don't go to church. If you need help and I'm available, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And that's what it was, man. And, God continued to just open the doors. And it went from these 4 locations to now today, we're on 31 different locations, 3 different school districts. We have a community center in South Stockton. We have 260 employees.
260 employees, man.
Yeah.
Listen to that.
In
man.
addition to what you're doing with Midtown Church as a pastor.
Yes, sir.
Walk us through that and how that relationship kicked off.
Yeah. The quickest way I could tell you is meeting my wife. It's all about thing on the plane. She was a part of Boss, and Pastor Bob was her pastor. And so, which is one of the coolest dudes I know, man.
And just for the record too, so for people listening to this, Boss is basically the grassroots church that Bob was.
Yeah,
I know
him and Bishop Carter. It was based out of South Sac, so Boss.
And then when Bishop passed away,
that right before he passed away, that's when he started the house church.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
And Bob's also the chaplain of the Kings.
Yep.
But I didn't know Bob. I met him through my wife, and just to talk about as a pastor, as a man, integrity, character, all this, man. Pretty big church. My wife, wasn't on staff. She wasn't, she was just a young lady going to the church who needed help. And this dude stepped in and helped my wife out of a situation. She was in an abusive relationship. Helped her out of this situation. Pastored her, got her counseling, and just really wrapped his. I'm just like, where do they do this at?
Yeah.
And so, but then part of this whole thing that she's doing counseling is like she's not supposed to entertain a relationship for a year. Just like really focus on yourself. Me and my wife met 2 weeks after.
Wow.
All of this happened. And so when we met, and so Bob was like, well, I need to meet him. So that's how we met. Because he was like, who is this dude? Like, this is not part of the plan.
Yeah.
Man, this is
crazy.
So good. It's a little story.
And so then we hit it off. And so I'm like, man, I'm seeing how he operates as a pastor, as a man, helping just, a young lady in his church. But then I got a chance to see how he operated in his church. Like, man, like, you guys are out in the community. Like, you guys are out serving people, even if they don't go to your church. Where they do that at?
Yeah.
I've never seen it. And so we started serving in the community. I didn't even go to his church, and he was like, hey, we support the work that you're doing. This is great. The church I was going to wasn't supporting the work that's doing. Like really? Like, this is crazy.
Man.
So that's how we met, man. And then once he started the house church, which we know is Midtown Church now, he had asked me to be his youth pastor. I was like, no, I'm cool. I'm not doing no pastoring and stuff. Like, we can serve the community together, but I'm not going to do that. So, he'd tell you I shot him down. But over the years, we continued to, serve together. He supported the table. The congregants, the members of Midtown, they supported our work. He would allow me to come up and just share the stuff we're doing. I know one of the big things you like our holiday event.
Yeah, please.
I'll get to that
for sure.
But through that, just building relationships, serving the community. He always was at him. He was like, you're going to plant a church one day, right? I was like, you're crazy. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I will never pastor at all. Like, that is not no. And so fast forward 2018.
I know. And just to let you know too, when I started going to, it was formerly Bayside, but then Midtown, I first saw you as part of the choir team, and you can sing. This man can sing, so you were also doing a little bit of that as well.
Yeah, I was doing worship. That's how I got over there doing some worship with them. But he was like, you're going to pastor, you're going to plant a church. I'm like, never. So he's like, hey, he calls me up. He's like, hey, let's go grab some lunch or whatever. I thought that's what we're doing. And so this is when we were still part of Bayside. Mm-hmm. And so next thing I know, I'm with him, the founder of Bayside, and the executive pastor, and I'm in a 3-hour interview.
Oh, man.
I was like, what is this? And at the end of it, they was like, hey, yeah, we want to talk to you about it. And I was like, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know about that. But as much as I wanted to say no, when I go back to when me and my wife got married, that was really my surrender. Mm-hmm. So my foundation was my grandparents. Mm-hmm. Building a relationship when I was a young man in college, to understand what a relationship with Christ. But right when I met my wife, that was when I completely surrendered to Christ and said, you know what? Wherever you want me to go, whatever you want me to do, no matter what, it doesn't have to make sense. I'm going to trust you and I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. And so I had to go back to that before I would say no. And I said, let me pray about it. Mm-hmm. So told my wife, and she's like, whoo, let's pray about it. And so we literally prayed about it, man. And it was just like, all right, Lord, we need to see clear signs, make it clear.
Yeah.
And so there was a few different things, but the thing that where I knew this was a part of my call, even though everything I've been talking about, it led up to this. Yeah. But when I knew it was, I was driving on I-5 heading to Midtown Sac, right? And I felt like as I'm driving, I no longer saw the cars in front of me. I saw this vision, this image of me baptizing my 2 sons.
Wow.
And when I saw that, I looked at my wife and I said, we're doing this.
Wow.
Incredible. We're doing this.
This is in 2018.
This is in 2018.
And your 2 sons were how old at that time?
Let's see. Tyronne was 3. And Tyrus was just born. Yeah, they're 3 years apart.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so just to go back to that, just a few months ago, I baptized my oldest son. Mm-hmm. That was
a little bit of the story. This was something that he proposed.
Yes. He said he knew we were doing baptisms that day, and he said, Dad, I want to get baptized. I'm just like, okay, we could talk about it. Mm-hmm. And he was like, no. And so we started asking questions like, do you know what this means? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in his own way, he was able to articulate, what does it mean to give his life to Christ? And I'm just like, what in the world is this? Mm. And so even then, so I told Raquel, I was like, all right, because I had to preach that Sunday. I say, take them to the class, because we have everybody go to class just to make sure everyone's sure. Yeah. And so they said he was in the class asking more questions than adults.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I'm just like, what? And so even then, I said, son, I was like, we could wait. We tell you. He's like, Dad, I really can do this.
Amazing.
And so I, got to baptize my son, man. So one more to go. But yeah, so all of that, I got tricked into what God was already doing to start a church. And so we said yes to starting Midtown Church, Elk Grove. Mm-hmm. And, in 2019, we officially announced that we were doing this church. And, December of 2019, we had our first meetup. We're gathering, telling people about, who we are and what we're looking to do. And then we had another meetup January, another one in February, and we're getting ready for one in March. And we all know what happened March 2020. You know what I mean? Whole world shut down. And I was like, oh, I don't have to do this, Pastor. I was like, cool, that's our way out. I'm done. And God was like, no. This is what pastoring is. There's people out there that need me you need to go serve. Yeah. So we got on a Zoom call, man, and we're just like, hey, we just hit up everybody. It was in an email. About 20 families showed up. Like, hey, how can we serve you? Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, everybody needed toilet paper during COVID. Yeah, of course. And so I was driving around, here you guys go, here's the toilet paper. What else you need? And so, man, it was pretty cool because we stayed on a call for a couple hours, and at the end of it, I was like, hey, you guys want to meet again next week? Yeah. And next week, started doing devotions, and I started doing devotionals and just praying with people, over the course of that time. And, that it led to, meeting up at the park and just praying with people and just serving the community as needed. And 2021 of April, we had our first service outdoors. And, I'll never forget that moment. One of the original core members, he was like, man, we went from these 50 screens on Zoom, 600 people showed up to this outdoor service.
Man.
It was amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah. And so, we've been, we started the church, man, and God has been so faithful, man. Like so many amazing stories of transformation and healing and, just so many incredible things, man. And so we're coming up on our official second year in November. November of 2021, we launched weekly services. And so this November, made 2 years of services. So
congratulations, man. Congratulations. Seriously. Absolutely all amazing stuff. And I'll tell you this, man, the NFL stuff, great stories, very entertaining, but I can't be more impressed from the outside looking in on what you've done post your NFL life. You're making such an impact in everything you do along the way. You've personally helped me. I know our talk, Stout and Refuge, will always be special to me, but at the same time, I'm just one of thousands of people that you've touched in the right way. And you and your wife, I just can't say it enough how amazing you guys are and what you do constantly in this community, man. I just want to make sure I put that on the table. You guys are amazing.
Man, I appreciate that.
To the point that he said that he wants to come and see you preach. And so Renee and I are going to make our way out. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that you have notice, and we'll be sitting in the front row. To wrap it up a little bit,
I need him, but before, because of one of the main things that he talks about, that of touching people, please tell us what you guys do for the kids around the holiday time. Yes. I need you to talk about that.
Yeah, man. And the cool thing is, this goes back to how, Midtown has been a blessing. Like I said, they were supporting, us before we were even a part of the church and through the Table Community Foundation. So before we had 250 staff and had school sites, our very first outreach event was a holiday shopping spree. Mm-hmm. And this shopping spree is our reminder of why we do this every year, because anytime you're serving or just trying to, you get burnt out. Mm-hmm. But this event every year, it reminds you, okay, this is why we do it. And so the backstory to this, and you may not know this, so my rookie year, I had a chance to go shop with some kids in San Diego. And we had $100 for each kid. And I had 2 kids, and these 2 boys, they were arguing the whole time. And I was just like, man, what's going on? So didn't nobody tell me that they were brothers. And I was like, man, you guys got $200. Like, we could put this together, get some cool stuff. But the thing was, you couldn't add anything to it. You had to stick to it, so every kid got the same. So, man, just being able to work with these 2 young men and, get them some stuff, and everybody was looking like, man, how did they get all of this stuff? Mm-hmm. Not having money, you learn how to maximize. So we were getting everything. So, and I did not cheat. I promise you, I stuck to it, but we got some cool stuff. And so all the kids was in like, man, how did they get that? Yeah. And that just did something for me. I was just like, man, like, I got to do this back home.
Yeah.
It's like, how can I do this for the kids in my community? But I didn't want it to be just about toys. I was like, man, I want them to understand no matter where they're at, that they can be a blessing to someone else, that they can give. And so we started the program called The Gift of Giving. And so it started with 25 kids the very first time. Now we take almost 200 kids shopping, 100 kids in the San Joaquin area, and then another 100 kids out here in the Sacramento County. And so we have kids write letters about what giving means to them. And then based off of their letters, then they're selected to participate in our shopping spree. But then also there is the overall need, because for some of these kids, this is their holiday season. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, but at the same time, for the young boy or young girl who maybe they do have both parents at home, and maybe, they have, what they need, but they get what serving's all about, and they have good grades, we want them to participate too. Mm-hmm. So this is for all kids, but it starts with this letter. And so when they get selected, we go to the store. The last few years we've been at Target, and they get $100. We're going to raise it this year to $125 per kid for inflation. Mm-hmm. But they get their money. But before they can spend their money on themselves, they have to buy a minimum of 1 gift that they donate back to us that we can give to more kids. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then the rest they can do what they do. But I kid you not, the best. It never fails. At least one, and there's more, they just blow your mind with how big of a heart and how they get it. And one story that I share all the time, there was this young kid. He was about, I want to say about 9 or 10 years old. And he was selected. He had a good letter, but also we selected him because we knew his background situation. Family was in and out of, the shelters and stuff. And so we're like, hey, we want to make sure that this kid's on the list. And so he filled up his whole basket. He goes to shopping. He's having a ball. And then so I think it was my wife. My wife went up to Raquel. My wife's name is Raquel, by the way, for the listeners. She goes and she's like, all right, so what gift are you going to donate back? And he says, oh, I'm giving the whole basket. Oh, man. And so we all stopped and we looked and we're just like, because we knew. The volunteer that was shopping had no clue, but we knew. And so we were like, why? Because, mind you, this is their shopping spree and we want them to have the freedom. And he says, I don't want another little boy or girl to go through what I have to go through, so I just want to give it all.
Amazing.
Gosh. That's what it's all about.
And so to be able to provide that type of opportunity for the kids, it's like most people are like, hey, I want to do this because this will be, I want to help someone. But the kids are the one helping us.
That's right.
And so that's why it's my reminder every year of why we do it. And so like I said, we've been doing this shopping spree since our very first one was 2011. And by the grace of God too, like I said, it started off with, me and a few guys that I grew up with, play with. But no matter what, once we get the kids, if we have to fund it out of our own pocket, we do it. We don't turn no one down, no one away. And we have been blessed with, people from the church or people from the community want to support it. But we're looking for more support because the more support we get, the more kids we take.
Yep.
We only put a limit on it based off of everything we get, it goes right back. And so we've been even challenging the stores like, man, like Target matches. It's going to go right back to you anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's such a great experience. And like I said, to be able to see the kids and how they light up and just see how they're able to like feel empowered to be able to help someone else. And so even for those who donate one, then you just see them like, hey, I'm buying this for my mom or I'm buying this for my siblings.
Yeah.
And then one more cool thing.
Yeah.
The last gift of giving this past year, the one we did in Stockton for all the kids in that area, there was a young man who was working for our organization that I had not met yet. And he was like, Mr. Gross. I was like, man, I'm getting old. He's like, you remember me? And I looked, he's like, man, he was like, I was one of the kids in your shopping spree.
Wow. Come on.
And he's like, I'm volunteering because I remember this.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Making a difference, man. Making a difference. And literally everything we talked about here, absolute definition of leaving a legacy, man. Absolute definition of it. And you ain't close to the finish line at all. It's growing. It's growing every bit. We are going to do our part in what you're doing. That's for sure. That was one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to make sure we get this. We're going to run it now. We're going to run it later. The more kids that we can help, the more people we can get this in front of, man, that's our little part of something that it's a tidal wave that you're bringing on, man. Absolutely amazing, man.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what do you want your legacy to be known as? And it kind of sounds a little bit like you articulated that. Yeah. Is there anything that you want to add as far as, what you're instilling with, you have 2 kids?
2 boys, yeah.
Okay. As far as what you're doing with what you just shared, is there anything else that you want to add?
Yeah, I thought my legacy was football, like, man, but I remember, my mentor told me, it's like, your greatest legacy are your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, being a parent, man, my 2 little knuckleheads, Tyronne the third and Tyrese, boy, they wake up at 100. They could go all day. Me and Raquel, we pray every day, like, Lord, I hope we're not messing these boys up. But our greatest legacy, we just want to make sure that we pour into them and give them every opportunity in the world to be the best version of themselves and make sure that they know Christ, man. And so everything that we do, we expose them to it. And so they serve at the church, they serve at the holiday event, they serve like wherever we're at, they're there with us.
Yep.
Like we want them to know that this is what it's about. So, you know, my greatest legacy is for my boys to, you know, be the best version of themselves.
Beautiful. I mean, and one of the things that I get from you guys is you guys are people that I look up to in that department is how freaking present you are with your kids. I joke around, I call him dad. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, we've worked together for years, but I think that that's so important, just being present with your kids, you know? So it's very admirable. We're gonna wrap up doing something fun.
Okay.
Now, you may or may not be a foodie. That's okay. You may or may not be into music, but we're going to kick it off. First question, top 3 restaurants, and this can be anywhere that you've ever been. You can do a hard pass, but we want to hear Tyronne's top 3 places to eat.
Man, I love food. You can tell I didn't put on a lot of weight, man. I love cooking, and I know my guy already. I love getting down, man. But let's stick local. This is not in any particular order because we're big on just trying some new stuff. But man, Q1227.
Yes.
And like
Let's get and the owners are absolutely beautiful people.
Yeah. McCooney's.
Yes.
Let's see. Another one. Man, there's so many. Sacramento, I'll try to plug you all. You know what? I got to go with Stockton. My best friend's restaurant. I got to take you guys. Octavio's.
Okay.
It's Mexican food. Full tequila bar. Right off of Ben Ho.
I've heard of this restaurant, and you had me at tequila, so can we make it?
Done deal.
We're gonna hit this restaurant.
Sure. Octavio's, man.
We're gonna tag them in this podcast too.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And we definitely got to finish out as well with your top 5 artists as well.
And in no particular order.
I know. I just got to get the background on that. No, you didn't even put it at 3. I just want to hear it. I need to know what goes to the mind.
We had Dr. Mondo on here, and he threw out a couple that I wasn't expecting to hear. He went kind of old classic with it. He had Whitney Houston in his top 5.
Man, that's man. I listen to all kinds of different music too. Okay, let's think. Man, one of my favorite groups of all time. Drew Hill.
Okay, nice.
All right.
Okay. My favorite artist of all time, though, Jamie Foxx.
Hey, talent all over the place. I'm with you.
I was on Jamie before people even knew me. So, like, dude is just one of the greatest entertainers that ever walked.
I love that answer.
Let's see. Man, I love Tasha Cobbs. She sings worship. But then, you know, Tupac, Jay-Z.
Those are good.
Yeah.
Those are good.
Yeah.
Well, we'll end on this too. One person, dead or alive, that you can have dinner with.
One person, dead or alive. My wife, man.
These seconds.
My wife all day. That's my rock, man.
That's it. Oh, man. I love it.
Episode 2, I mean, is great. I want also to say, because, you know, you asked how my mom was doing. My mom absolutely adores you and just thinks the world of you and your wife. So I appreciate all that you do in the community. I'm looking forward to our next Montana trip. I know that when we all went to Montana, you know, everyone has busy schedules. I had to drag this guy out, but it turned out to be just an absolute life-altering, the conversations that we had out there, and, you know, it was a little rough for you getting out in the water and holding the fish, but you did it.
Man.
He's an outdoors guy, man.
I'm right beside him. Like, they had to force me on that plan. Just for you listeners to understand this.
Yeah.
I do not like getting dirty. I am scared of everything. And thinking of camping and all that, like, it's not me, but one of the best trips of my life.
It really was, man.
Tyronne said, too, that on the next one, because, you know, we all ended up getting tattoos on that trip, that you committed that the next time you're getting a tattoo with us.
Yeah, that's right. I will not get a tattoo.
We appreciate you,
Man, thank you guys for having me
on here, man. Episode 2. Appreciate y'all.